Jay here, Stretford, Paddock. That's Joe Smith. This is Paddock Live. We're going to be talking about Manchester United and Erik ten Hag, obviously, because that is the main news. We're going to be getting into all the latest updates as what is happening with Manchester United's manager. He's under pressure. INEOS are having this meeting. Are they going to sack him? Are they going to keep him? What go on?
Yes. Divorced, beheaded, died. Not really.
Yeah.
Divorced, beheaded, survived.
Right. Divorced.
Yeah.
Was.
Catherine of Arrogance.
Divorced, beheaded.
Parr.
No.
Seymour.
Anne Boleyn.
Skinner.
Anne Boleyn.
Yeah.
Divorced, beheaded.
Died.
Was.
That's got to be...
Seymour, wasn't it?
Seymour,
James
yeah.
Seymour.
Yeah.
Divorced, beheaded, died. Divorced.
Parr.
Was it Parr? I thought it was... Yeah. Divorced, beheaded... Divorced, beheaded...
This is mental.
This
is the
survived.
maddest
Divorced, beheaded...
No, divorced, beheaded, died.
Died.
Divorced, beheaded,
died
survived.
was Anna Cleves, wasn't it?
Yeah,
died.
yeah, Cleves.
Then it was Howard, then it was Parr, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think so, anyway.
Also, just for anyone watching,
Yeah.
when it's divorced, this is the Henry VIII's wives, obviously.
Yeah.
Divorced, beheaded, died. Divorced, beheaded, survived.
Yeah.
She hasn't. I tried to find. She hasn't still survived. She is dead now. So
Who?
it should really be divorced, beheaded, died.
Yeah.
Divorced, beheaded, died.
Yeah, do you know what?
She's not still alive. This was 500
I
years
always
ago.
thought she was one of those lucky ones.
Who just didn't die.
Yeah, like, 1 in 7.
Yeah, like your pets growing up.
Yeah, they all went to the farm.
Still there.
Yeah, and that's funny because one of my kids' pets went to the farm not long ago.
Oh,
so
God.
hopefully it's the same farm.
Speaking of the lucky ones,
Anyway.
Ten Hag survives for
Nice.
now. He survives, Jay. He's
He
here
does apparently,
to
doesn't he?
stay.
That's a nice picture,
Ish.
isn't it?
Yeah, he looks happy there. He's happy
does.
at times.
Oh, bless him.
Yeah, bless him. But we've got loads to talk about today. We've got other managers. Obviously, there's been links, there's been rumours, there's been talks with loads of different people. Also, Ten Hag's put a wall up. And that's somehow in the news. Christian Eriksen, we're going to be talking about him. We're also going to be talking a little bit about Jurgen Klopp as well.
Why are we talking about Jurgen Klopp? Are we a Liverpool channel?
Just something to laugh
or
at.
Or are we a RB Leipzig or RB Salzburg channel?
Yeah.
Are we? No. So we're talking about him for a...
Rassen ball bag,
do you know
more
what
like.
I mean? Honestly, it does my head in. What is going on? Right, let's get into it now.
Let's talk about Ten Hag.
Get involved in the
Let's
chat
start
in the
with
comments,
this.
by the way.
So, not interested. This comes after reports that United were into and interested in Simone Inzaghi. It says it's already turned down Manchester United and rejected an advance from Chelsea last summer. What? No, he hasn't. Inzaghi continues to be linked with replacing Ten Hag at United, despite rebuffing the advances of an agent working on behalf of the club. An agent? What in the CIA is going on here?
What?
An agent working on behalf of the club? What in the curly earpiece, blacked out sunglasses does that mean? Oh, just a football agent, yeah, don't matter. It says, the club near the end of last season and during the international break, the Inter-Chief turned down Chelsea before they decided to offer the job to Maresca. Instead, Inzaghi signed a contract extension at Inter until 2026. United's board met in London on Tuesday, with Ten Hag's future understood to be among the topics for discussion, but a lack of communication following their monthly summit indicates that he remains safe through patience, though patience could run out if results don't improve quickly. I mean, it's very much giving him enough food to survive for the day, isn't it, this with Ten Hag? It's just, what's the minimum calories his body needs to not shut down? That's what we're giving him. It's barely a full meal, this, is it, in terms of job security? It's like, you're safe, oh great, for now.
Yeah.
If you lose against Brentford, you might be gone. If you if you win that, then you might be gone.
He could. He genuinely could, man. It's like, I feel like it's almost like a game by game basis.
Yeah.
That his job's going to be assessed, because we can't, like, it's obvious Sir Jim Ratcliffe is not 100% behind him. It's obvious some of his squad aren't 100% behind him because of what Andy Mitten said. And it was kind of, not frustrating or whatever, but it was a bit deflating the fact it was Andy Mitten who reported it, because it's true. If he says, I spoke to 7 or 6 United players and they didn't really say one thing or the other in terms of being behind the manager, that happened. So you can see he's maybe struggling with some of the players. Sir Jim Ratcliffe didn't really give him the full support that he wanted. Yes, this meeting is planned, but they're going to be talking about the manager. They'd be talking about the manager if we'd have won every single game this season anyway. Because it's not like you're going to sit and not discuss the Manchester United manager when you're one of his bosses. Even if you think he's doing a good job, you're going to talk about him. So it's obvious, this is just a bit weird, isn't it? Rebuffing the advances of an agent. Yeah, a bit weird. He looks like he's, some sort of carry-on film there, doesn't it?
The Inzaghi genes are quite strong, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
You could put him next to his old mate Pipo.
Yeah.
And you certainly would know they were brothers.
Yeah, you would, wouldn't you?
It's incredible how much they look like each other. I wonder what their kids look like. Probably exactly the same. That same haircut.
Probably
as well.
born offside, eh? Sorry.
Should we move on?
Because Fergie said that about Inzaghi.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah.
Get involved in the comments and let us know what you think. Someone made me laugh with one of the... Philip Glover said... Oh, hang on. No, he gave us the right answer. But Heaven Soul said, divorced, beheaded, died, divorced, beheaded, dead.
Classic.
Which is classic.
Well, it could, to be fair, at this point, it could just be dead, couldn't it?
Yes, it could be. Tyson Bennett says, so man didn't want a job. That's the story. Waste of paper. He's not feeling it. Rafa D says, Inzaghi jeans, saw them at the market once.
Very nice.
Yeah?
I think you're thinking of Levi's, though, mate.
So... Oh, do you remember Spliffit? Did you have them in Worksop?
No, they didn't come that far.
Did they not?
We had Ivisu, but instead of a U, it was a W because they were knockoffs. Classic.
The Spliffy jeans were elite.
Like,
it was just a guy with like a big... I can't even have a big spliff. And he used to have stuff on it like Spliffy, like a spliff a day keeps the evil away and all this nonsense.
Could you smoke the jeans themselves?
I tried, but they didn't. They
didn't
weren't very
take.
nice. Yeah, didn't take. So I just snorted them instead.
So we're not getting Simone Inzaghi. What about Thomas Tuchel?
Two can't play that game. Love everything about that.
That is
Bobby Brown again. This
classic.
is the second Bobby Brown pun we've had in 2 weeks.
That's very good. It's really nice because it's Tuchel. Two can't play that game because we're not going to play that game. He does look like he's...
Well, so they've all got a bit of a sheen to them today. They look like they're from Madame Tussauds.
Please can we look at the main evil guy from the most recent Star Wars trilogy? Can we put Snoke on the screen, please, just for a second when we can? Operate as quickly as possible, please. He looks a lot like Emperor Snoke on that one. You can just drag him sort of over to the right-hand side of the image here, and we can sort of make that
Does
work. I mean, for a human, as far as humans go, pop that full screen and just make it a bit narrower so we can get them both on at the same time. Okay, and then...
No, that's the opposite.
There you go, just hold them next to each other. Closer than we'd like, isn't it, if we were choosing what we look like? Don't look at me like I look like him.
Well, if you shaved your beard and your hair, you'd look a bit like Thomas Tuchel.
Well, all right, if you know...
Go on.
Right, here's one.
Yeah.
If my goldfish had legs, it'd be my dog.
Well, it wouldn't. It'd be dead.
Anyway, so we're not getting Emperor Snoke.
I just think you've been a bit harsh on Thomas Tuchel. You're right.
Why? He's the most powerful person in the galaxy, mate. How is that harsh?
Like that. It's just typical Man United fan, that, innit?
What?
You'd be licking his ass if he was our manager now. And now he's not. You're comparing him to some Star Trek character.
I'd say something really nice.
Well, looking at him, he's minging because he's not our manager, so I'll say what I want.
All right.
Next week, you'll be like, oh, isn't he gorgeous? Doesn't he look like me without a beard?
Isn't he gorgeous? Doesn't he look like a Space Raider crisp? United have not made an approach to Tuchel after the club's executives met in London to discuss next steps on Tuesday.
Are we going to go for every manager in the world, by the way?
Yes. Yeah.
How none of them are coming to Old Trafford.
Absolutely, yeah.
Fine, continue.
Tuchel, who United progressed the furthest with in the summer. This sounds like spring break. What does that mean? Let's just say Tuchel's the one I progressed the furthest with in the summer, okay? I'm not going to say what we did. All I'll say is he's the one I progressed the furthest with. In regard to possibly replacing...
The lyric that they didn't use in Greece. Like
Pretty
that
much,
kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. To possibly replacing Ten Hag during a strategic review. Tuchel, who United progressed with the furthest in the summer in regard to possibly replacing Ten Hag during a strategic review, has not received any formal communication yet to take over at Old Trafford. Discussions with him had reached the stage of negotiating financials before it broke down and United decided they already had the best available manager. I love that. How much? Right, perfect. Love all this. Yes. Let's talk cash, big boy.
Yeah.
What are you thinking?
$1 million a day.
I actually think Ten Hag's better than you. And is it a purely financial thing? Yes.
Yeah.
Because we can get, 50% of the managerial nous, but for only 25% of the cash.
Do you know
so
what?
Value for money wise, pound per point, we think we've got the best guy. That's so mad, isn't it? Actually, it's not because I don't want to say it's because you're too expensive. It's because I've just remembered that actually Ten Hag's better than you, even though I didn't think he was until you said you wanted 20 million a year.
Yeah. I just feel like, go on, finish the story and I'll give you my take on it. Sorry.
The potential of Ruud van Nistelrooy being placed in charge has been floated but there have been 2 major questions around that. Is it too early in the season, and to what end? Wait.
That's 3 questions.
That's 3 questions.
There have been 2 major questions around that.
Right. There's been 2 major questions. Is it too early in the season, and to what end? Which feels like 2 questions,
yeah,
but
that's
just with
2.
a comma. Who would be a placeholder? Who would he be a placeholder for?
That's a valid question.
That's a valid question.
I feel like Eriksen is getting it from everyone.
Yeah, he's fucked, isn't he?
They basically said, it's been leaked now that they wanted Tuchel, but they couldn't make the money work, which is just basically, we didn't want you, we wanted Tuchel. Ruud van Nistelrooy's waiting, and it's like, we might give him the job. He must know that if he loses another game any time soon, like Leicester or Brentford home, he's going to be under more pressure. I mean, this feels like it's a bit untenable. Then you've got the players who weren't really backing him. It just feels like it's getting away from him. I hope I'm wrong, and I hope he turns it around and smashes it. But it does feel like the walls are closing in on Eriksen.
Yeah,
I don't like it, man. I feel for the kid, really. I really do.
Yeah, it's crazy. What are people saying in the comments, Jay?
Scotty and Motti says 2 blinding puns, Ethan. That's Scotty, basically. I can guarantee you that. Joe C says Chelsea actually started rehiring managers. They went through so many. I hope we don't get to that point. Dress to Sweat says Tuchel recall.
It doesn't work.
No. It's completely irrelevant to the story we're talking about.
It's the opposite of what the story is.
Yeah.
If we'd have gone for him again, you're onto a blinder kid. It doesn't.
No. Tyrion Lannister says gutless non-decision by INEOS. Strike 1 for me. There you go.
I tell you what, I don't want to know what happens at strike 3, Jay. Yeah. What do you think happens? Surely not a sort of war. Not a Guy Fawkes situation, surely.
Right.
You'd hope not.
Chris Griffith says, the day we start cheering for goals against us, a la Arsenal versus City, I'm out.
Yeah.
Mike Fergus says, at this rate, Big Sam will be waiting by the phone.
What is Big Sam up to?
Are you
well, she used to obviously run the Queen Vic.
Thinking that he's an option.
Oh, sorry. Which Big Sam are we talking about?
Why are you talking about?
I thought you meant
Sammy?
Sam Mitchell used to run the Queen Vic.
Is that who he was? Sam Mitchell?
I think so.
I thought it was Sharon. Is it Sharon Mitchell who ran the Queen Vic?
Where's Sam about then?
Well, who's Sam Mitchell?
Is that a person?
Yeah.
Sam is there now.
Is she?
Not sure. Should we move on to the next story?
Watch these
Google Sam Mitchell because I'm all fluster here. Right, let's move on to our next story then. So Ten Hag is safe for now.
Ah, right. Oh, is it Daniela Westbrook used to play her?
Pretty much.
What's she up to nowadays? Jesus Christ.
Stop.
So glad I stopped sniffing. Anyway, carry on.
Just look at the screen.
Oh, no. No. What's this? Make United great again. And then we've got an amalgamation of Donald Trump and Erik ten Hag. And it might be the scariest thing I've ever seen him. I've ever saw in my life.
I've ever seen him.
A
giant white wall has been erected at Carrington to hide United's training sessions from prying eyes.
Really good. Really good.
That's really good.
Really, really beautiful.
Build a wall.
Yeah.
The greatest wall.
The most beautiful wall.
It will shield Ten Hag's squad from the elements. What? What the fuck? What do you mean it will shield them from the elements? Where are they playing?
Can I just ask, is Mexico going to pay for this wall?
Mexico
That's what I want.
They paid for it.
They've paid for it?
Yeah.
Doesn't
technically.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not Mexico. It's Eccles that's paid for the wall.
Yeah.
We've had to pass it around a little. That is one of the best and worst Photoshops I've ever seen in my life. I'm really quite keen on that. Oh, it's a shame the subscriber's just behind the hair. It will shield Ten Hag's squad from the elements, while a £50 million upgrade forces them to practice in a more exposed area of the complex. Where is this? On the desert planet of Arrakis? What do you mean that one of the more exposed, but just blistering winds, sandstorms everywhere? What? The more exposed part? It's only about 10 acres.
The desert planet of where?
Arrakis.
Is that real?
That's in June, isn't it?
All right. What?
What? What?
I'm completely confused now.
In the planet of Arrakis in June is just pure desert and sand blowing everywhere. It's a very harsh environment, and I'm comparing it to the supposed...
In June?
June.
Oh, right, I thought you meant in...
Did you think there's a planet that only exists 1 month a year? What? That's
exactly what I thought.
Is that a planet? It is in June. Yeah, they'll be finished in about 6 months.
You don't know how much my head fell off then, right? Because I just thought there's a planet that's only about for a month. And you were right, and I didn't know about it. And I've got my entire life not knowing about this.
They call it a mayfly planet. It only exists for a month.
Oh my God.
Let me carry on here, because this is getting crazy. Sources affirm that the wall simply gives Ten Hag and his players the privacy and protection they had on the old first-team training pitch. However, the £200,000 cost of the wall has raised eyebrows amongst the club staff, who have been subject to severe cost-cutting measures since INEOS took over, resulting in 250 employees losing their job. Thoughts on the wall? Thoughts on the fact that it's even a news story?
Seems a bit of a nothingness, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, they built a wall whilst they redoing Carrington, which kind of makes sense. I mean, 200 grand seems a lot, but I don't know how much walls for training complexes should cost.
No.
So I'm not that bothered. And also, like you're saying, 200k has been spent on this wall. We've had 250 employees losing their jobs. It's not one and the same, though, is it? I'm not sort of condoning the fact that we had so many redundancies. It was sad to see that, but I don't necessarily think it's like, well, you're building a wall. If you just not built that wall, we could have kept some of the jobs. I don't think it works like that.
No.
So it just feels a bit, yeah, okay, great.
Also, I'm surprised that there wasn't a sort of big, decent wall around the entire perimeter of the grounds anyway.
Well, do you know what it is with Carrington? You've been to Carrington, haven't you?
Yeah.
It's like, it is in the middle of nowhere, but you have to go through. Like, it's not easy to get to.
No.
It's not like the old Carrington, or when you used to go there, not the old Carrington, the Cliff, you just walked in and you were there. And I think when City used to play in Carrington, they had next door, it was like you could go in there and you'd be right near where everything was. With this one, obviously you've got to get past security. I think the security at the other end as well, so it's very difficult to get very close to the actual training ground, or the pitches. So I don't know, it is a bit surprising that they need to build this massive wall, but I suppose they know what they're doing. You'd think, wouldn't you? Yeah. It just feels a bit, this is a story of almost,
It's a story of a wall, isn't it, Jay? Should we move on to our next story?
I'll get some comments, then we will do.
Of course.
Akash K has been a member of the first team for 8 months. Thank you, Akash. Don't forget, we've got extra content on the members section, including a little vlog from when I was over in Porto last week. Since Eriksen and I got some serious backing over the summer, i.e. 180 million quid, and a contract extension, no announcement coming from INEOS. Hilarious Sky didn't get what they wanted. Low grade comic collectors global says good to see Yoro back in training. Give Ten Hag time. WJL says Terry and Dune. Ridwan says all walls can be climbed. Laughing emoji. It's a great point. Heaven Soul says the pitch they're on is just surrounded by open space, so it gets very windy.
Surrounded by open space.
Beautiful.
There's just nothing.
Nothing.
Miles and miles and miles.
Nothing.
Interesting. Well,
very good, Des. Very, very nice.
Very nicely done. Let's move on to our next story. Then what we got? Chris Cross. Christian Eriksen believes he's showing that he's more than capable of playing every 3 days. Cross as in he's annoyed at
angry
that people would doubt him?
Yeah? You said it like you didn't know. Yeah. Right, okay, yeah. Good. No, I like it. Good.
Eriksen balked at any suggestions the schedule could be too arduous for a player of his age. I don't feel like a 32-year-old. What does that feel like to you, Jay? Because I'm only 31, so
I distant memory.
I simply couldn't tell you.
A 32-year-old? I think when you're 32, what was I doing when I was 32? Yeah, you're all right.
You just got clean, didn't you?
No.
Shit.
So I was 2 years off it.
Oh,
I was in my flat.
These were the
with the doors locked.
We can't do any more of this.
Yeah, like this isn't great, but I felt all right.
Felt fantastic, actually.
Felt the best. The thing with Christian Eriksen is, if you're just looking at his performances, they've been all right this season.
Yeah.
And I think you can look at him, and I think let's just address the elephant in the room. Everyone thinks of Eriksen, can't help but remember the fact that he more or less died on the pitch. And it's like, he was, genuinely, people look at that and they go, oh, he went through all that. Is he going to be able to play into his mid-30s? Probably not. But there's every reason he can. He's got a pacemaker. So the issue is his heart, which has been resolved. The pacemaker, and he's had all the checks and everything's clear. He obviously looks after himself. He's like physically fit. I know he's only a small guy. But also the way he plays, his game has never been about pace and power and the things that can wane as you get older. It's not like he's someone who's relying on his speed to get him. He's someone who can read the game and uses that and his passing ability to sort of control and dictate the tempo of the game. So if you actually think about it, you think there's no reason why, in the right system, he could still flourish. The only issue I've got is when I'm looking at it and I'm going, okay, we've got Eriksen and Mainu and Bruno's your midfield. You're probably lacking a DM there, and then against Villa, I know we got away with it, but you had, I think, Maguire and Evans behind him, and you think, okay, who's the ball winner
You're
there?
lacking a little bit of athleticism and speed as well in
maybe
there.
like him, Mainu and Agate, if you move Bruno to a different position, could work. But I think if you're just going off performances, I think, in all honesty, Eriksen isn't as good as he was that first 6 months, but he's better than he was last year.
Definitely.
So I don't think you can say, well, it's his physical sort of, his age is sort of dragging him down physically. He looks like he's still got it.
Yeah.
It's just not quite there. And I wonder if that's not necessarily even his fault. Part of the problem is the system and the constantly changing midfield that we keep having as well.
I think with Eriksen, if you'd have looked at him pre-heart problem, you would have said he's the sort of player like, not only from his body type, from the fact that he always had a great engine, he was known for his work rate and his energy, which tends to stick with you, doesn't it? Like you said, your speed will go and all that, but that kind of cardio ability that he's always had shouldn't be going anywhere. The other thing with him as well is, and this obviously doesn't always translate, but because he's sort of the talisman for a slightly smaller nation in Denmark, those players can often get another 3 or 4 years out of their career because they're playing for the next tournament, they're waiting for the next tournament. Because he's probably going to get picked for Denmark till he's 34, 36.
That's a really good point. Did you see him in the Euros?
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
But again, how old will he have to be until the next number 10 at Denmark or the next number 8 at Denmark is better than him? If he was English, he might have cut his career a little bit shorter, and internationally he might have done this, he might have done that. But I almost feel like that could give him another tournament, which will give him another 2 years at the top level, etc. So I think that other than the heart condition, or I don't know if it's a condition or issue that he had, there's no reason he shouldn't be playing to 35, 36 for the style of player he is. And obviously at some point he's going to drop his levels. But I'm glad we're seeing a proper, very good footballer this season. And even if that is only in particular games, you use him as a sort of a part in a machine, or he's a kind of specific part, that's fine by me. And there's Johnny Evans has got a similar thing to him. I know he's 4 years older than Eriksen, where it's like, you're not going to start 60 games in a row for Man United like Bruno might, but in the right game, in the right system, he destroyed Barnsley. I know it was Barnsley, but we've lost to lower league teams in the past in recent seasons. He was amazing in that game. And sometimes you've got players that can do that kind of job, and the more the merrier, really. I like having players like Christian Eriksen in the team, and he's good, and 32 isn't that old really, is it? It's not an old player, it's someone who's maybe past their peak. I think
32 is in that sort of grey area where you go, okay, he still can do a job, but he's a little bit, he's maybe on his downward trajectory.
Of course.
But I think it's when you get 33, 34 that you start going, okay, is it time to move him on?
Yeah.
I think this is that sort of just before that, but judging just off his performances, he's been doing well. I'd love to see a bit of a settled team at United, and we know what's going on, and who our players are, who our starting 11 is, because I feel like we just don't know at the minute. I don't think we know our front three. I think even defensively, which we thought we did know, I don't think we do. I think there's an element of, okay, what we're doing now. I genuinely, we'll do the preview closer to the game, but I genuinely don't know what he'll go with against Brentford.
No, I don't.
I think it's
Brentford are as well an opposition that is more than capable on their day of taking the piss.
Yeah.
They've got a very good manager, they've got a very well-drilled side, they've got people like Brian Mbeumo, obviously, and I know Viss is injured now, so he won't be playing. But they've got good players in good positions, and they all work hard, and they've spanked us in recent seasons. Like, they've battered us. So it's going to be a massive game, that Brentford one. Like you said, I don't know who's playing for United either. But Ten Hag has to get that right, because otherwise it could be a 2 or 3-0 at home.
If that is the case,
he's gone.
I don't know if he survives that. I don't know. You can't. I mean, I know there's lots of ifs and buts and maybes, and there's a good chance we win it. But you lose 3 consecutive home games, 3-0 at Manchester United. I think your goose is cooked. But it won't come to that. We'll batter him.
Of course.
I'll name this podcast later as gifted a Stretford Paddock membership.
Thank you very much.
Thank you to you. Big T Guitar says Eriksen is still the best footballer at the club. Ridwan says Casemiro is 32. Dresto Sweat says we need him this season for sure.
I don't know if he can play left back.
The buttery biscuit base. That lump Carroll was looking to maim the opposition. Andy Carroll, that
lump Carroll sounds like he's having to go to his ex-wife, doesn't it?
Yeah. Andy Carroll. Someone had mentioned Andy Carroll earlier. That Philip Glover. That was a horror tackle by Carroll on him. Andy Carroll ran around the pitch and he just hacking everyone.
Yeah, it was bizarre. That.
It's fucking typical.
Should we move on? Speaking of, unfortunately, players getting injured, Lenny Yoro. You're off your crutches. You're off your off your off.
You're off your crutches. Seems like he's a right little. Hello.
You must be off your crutches if you think I'm doing that.
Oh,
that does sound like one of those.
Some cider.
Like a West Country. Yeah. You know, this guy.
You're off your crutches.
He's off his crutches. That guy. And I tell you what, I've seen him sniffing his own shite. Yeah. Anyway, Lenny Yoro has provided fans with hope about his fitness after posting an update on social media. Disaster struck during just his second pre-season appearance for his new club, with Yoro fracturing his metatarsal against Arsenal in the United States. The injury required Yoro to go under the knife for extensive surgery. Extensive surgery, like he's, I don't know, Jackie Stallone. The injury required Yoro to go under the knife for extensive surgery to fix the problems and was subsequently ruled out of action for 3 months in July. Sharing a short video of him running on a treadmill at United's Carrington headquarters, Yoro stated he is, in quotes, on the way back.
Love it. Love the Jackie Stallone reference as well.
Yeah, that's where that came from.
I think we've got to be mega careful with this kid. Take our time. I wouldn't even mind if we didn't see him till way after Christmas. If we actually was just completely like, you are going to be training for like 2 months before we put you back in the first team, because we have to make sure you're 100%, because there were rumours that he wasn't 100% when we played him against Arsenal or when we started playing him, hence the reason he's aggravated something that was underlying there. So I just give him as much time as you can give him without it being completely counterproductive.
I think with that, I know you haven't said the opposite, but I think it was more a case of he's got this issue with his metatarsal that is just there. Yeah. And I don't think resting him would have made it go away. I think it was either a weakness or a small fracture or something. It sounded like it could either go in 2 games, which it did, or it might be 18 months before it goes. Right. He's got something wrong with his foot that at some point in his career he's going to require surgery. I don't know if it was a case of like, if we'd have only waited a week, he'd have been okay.
I'm not saying that. I mean, no, I know. I'm just now. For clarity, after he's had his surgery, which he obviously has. Just wait. Just bide your time until it becomes like, I don't want it to be ridiculous where he's just training for months and months and it's like, where it...
Maybe that next international break, the one in November.
But I would massively on the side of caution.
It's the second week of November.
And even when you bring him in, like, give him a run out in the second half, give him a few minutes here and there, and then give him a start when he's fully 100% and all doctors sign off for it. Sometimes as well, it can just be like almost a bit of bad luck. Do you remember? Because like, didn't Rooney do his metatarsal twice? Yeah. Weren't it like 2 years apart? Yeah. Because he did it in the Euros in 2004, and then he did it just ahead of the World Cup in 2006, which is obviously like almost exactly 2 years apart. So it wasn't like, it was always waiting to happen. It was just he got a sort of knock that he got that would have broken anyone's foot regardless if it happened before. So yeah, I just feel like with Yoro, another reason I think we've got to sort of bring him in cautiously is because at the minute, and I know it'll obviously be different when it comes back in, we are under a lot of pressure. Everything is going to be heavily scrutinised. You're always under pressure as Manchester United. But let's say, for example, let's say he was fit for the Brentford game. Just as an example, I'm not saying he will be. I don't think he will be at all. But let's say he was fit for the Brentford game and you brought him in for the Brentford game and he made a mistake that ended up costing us the game. Yeah. And I know this sounds melodramatic. Eriksen gets sacked. Yeah. Like, well, that's a fucking great debut. Yeah. Like, I just feel like, whilst it's like as it is, and we have actually got options at centre-back, you might argue which ones are good enough, but we have actually got 4 more or less first-team choices. In fact, 5 actually, if counting Victor Lindelof. You don't need to rush him back. So just give him a bit of time, and then maybe Leicester in the League Cup or something if he's fit for that, or further down the line, one of the, what's the Rangers or something. I mean, no, that's very far. That's January, ignore me.
Bodo Glimt.
Thank you, good lad. Bodo Glimt. Bodo Glimt has got his name written all over it.
I completely agree. Should we go on to our final story of the day, Jay? And this one isn't United related, but it is something a little bit silly. You're a sellout.
You're a sellout.
As in like Duracell?
I think so.
Is it like Duracell as in the batteries? What's that got to do with this? So he's a sellout, I get that. He's sold out. He is a sellout. He's a massive sellout. He's a fraud. He's a liar. He's a sellout. Yeah. Why has batteries anything to do with it?
Is it energy? Because of the Red Bull thing, and he said he'd run out of energy.
Bingo.
Yeah, because remember he did that thing, I am now out of energy, where about 1,000,004 people on the internet have all come up with the same pun and joke about it.
Which is?
If only there's this like energy drink you could take. Is that why he's flogging Red Bull?
Red Bull.
Yeah, that sort of thing.
Or
Variations of that joke.
Carabao, which is the only thing they won last year. So maybe we should try that.
Nice.
Klopp has found himself a new job after signing a long-term contract to become the global head of soccer at Red Bull. The 57-year-old has been enjoying his time off, stating that he didn't want to take up a coaching role and needed a rest after making his decision at the start of the year. However, it's now been confirmed that Klopp has agreed a deal with Red Bull and will take up his new role as global head of soccer on January 1. This role will require Klopp to be responsible for the international network of all football clubs under the Red Bull umbrella. He will be required to advise the clubs on coaching matters, playing philosophy, development and transfers of players and head coaches. Isn't it a little bit of a sellout job that he's gone from being someone who talked about not liking the money in football and saying he'd never sign a £100 million player, which he did, Darwin Núñez, to all of a sudden working for the most heavily branded, most heavily intertwined with a private company sort of organisation in all of football, literally owned by Red Bull. Like, what, isn't that a bit of a piss take from him?
I think all managers, I'm not one sticking up for you, but I think all managers have that little bit of hypocrisy. They all moan about the money until it's time for them to spend money. They all moan about the way football is going, then you'll see a lot of them actually joining in with it. And I think part of the problem with Jurgen Klopp is he's like, you know, he's half manager, half folk ballad. It's like he became this thing that wasn't just a manager, he was a god to the people of Merseyside, or the blue, forgive me, the red half of Merseyside. And he's like, oh, Jurgen, and I think he's not. He's just a guy who probably had enough of Liverpool, moved on, and was ready to take the highest paid job that came his way that involved being involved, obviously, in some sort of managerial administration capacity in football, where he felt like he had a lot of responsibility, had a lot of sway, and could get him, you know, have some influence on clubs as well, which is obviously what he's got. I think the real ones that should feel aggrieved at this aren't Liverpool or people that put Klopp on that pedestal. It's actually probably Dortmund. Dortmund are probably looking at it. You look at the club that Dortmund is, the way that's run, the sort of ethos they have, the fact that they all loved Klopp. He's the last guy there to win a title. Let's not forget he won it back to back. And he was a massive loving. Even when he left, I think they still loved him. They didn't fall out with him, did they? And he left in a good way because, I know this sounds a bit weird, but because he left after he finished 7th, it was like he's leaving where we're okay with him going now. Yeah. He's not just won the title and fucked off. He stayed. We were in the bottom half of the table for half the season. Then we had a rally, got to 7th, I think it was, and he's gone, and it's okay. He was back there not long ago, wasn't he, doing a testimonial or something? Yeah. But he's going to a rival of sorts.
Imagine
or whatever.
I know it's not Sir Alex for Dortmund, obviously, but like a great United manager went and managed or was like the head guy at Newcastle or something, like a team with loads of money, sort of up and coming, doing things kind of the wrong way. It is a bit odd to me. And also, was it you telling me he had 5 trophy-less seasons in his 8 at Liverpool? Was it you telling me that?
No, I mean, that sounds about right, doesn't it? Because he's a weird manager, Klopp, because didn't he lose 6 finals on the spin at Dortmund and at Liverpool, which is horrendous.
Utterly awful.
Like, and then there's the whole thing, he was at Liverpool for 9 years, and he won, in the Premier League, obviously won that one title, which is, you know, you've got to give him credit, because he's going up against Liverpool, City and everything. You think, okay, one title, it's still only one. But then he did win the Champions League as well.
But again, only one.
And it's like, you've got those 2 big trophies, and then you've got like a couple of League Cups, I think, and an FA Cup. So it's like, obviously, it's a successful tenure there, but it's not like fully smashed it in terms of like some other managers, and especially what Liverpool have had, unfortunately, in the past. They've had managers who've won the lot consistently. I think he has to take credit, though. He's the one that came in and won that title. Obviously, to win the Champions League is amazing as well. And a big part of it was his personality. They bought into it. I said it on Full Time Devils, one of my first vids, not one of my first, but early on in the Full Time Devils days, when Fergie announced he was retiring and the channel had just started, and I would have had Klopp. I said I'd have Jurgen Klopp from Dortmund. Apparently Woodward tried to get him as well after Moyes, I think, but couldn't convince him to come.
Great.
You know, one of those what might have been, but I think it would have been different at United, because at Liverpool he had a structure above him. They brought in Mo Salah and Virgil van Dijk and Andy Robertson and these players that became so integral to his success. I don't know if that would have happened at Manchester United. The
only annoying thing is, Gerrard might have ended up being Liverpool manager if Klopp wasn't there.
That's a good point.
Because he stuck around 1 year long enough
to stop the Gerrard.
Because Gerrard could have gone straight from Rangers to Liverpool if Klopp was retiring then, or if he'd never been there. Instead, he just stuck around that extra year. Let's have Gerrard in the Premier League for a bit. fucked it at Villa, and then there's no chance for him. But
Yeah.
Liverpool could have been failing under Steven Gerrard right now. That's the only thing that I don't like about him sticking around. But anyway, there you go.
I think they've romanticised him a little bit.
Yeah.
And he's a 57-year-old. He's probably got another 5 or 6 years at least involved in football.
Yeah.
So what do you think he's going to do? He's just going to go and become a missionary, taking football to poor kids in Africa or something? Come on, he's just going to go and get a job for loads of money, which is what he's done. And the only people that should be pissed off are the Dortmund fans, and I'm sure they are from what I've seen as well.
You'd assume so.
Some of the comments. Right, we're going to leave it there. Thank you to everyone who got involved in the chat and the comments. Make sure you are subscribing to the channel if you've not done so already. We'll be back tomorrow. We're going to have the news live here from the studio. Then we're going to have Off the Bar as well. I think it's going to be me, Joe, Howson. So go and check that out, or make sure you check that out. We also had Agree or Disagree earlier on today. Check that out as well if you've not watched that one. Go and look at him on the Sloppy Joe's podcast with producer Ethan for some more pun-tastic time. That's been Joe. I've been Jay. This has been Paddock Live. Thanks for watching.